Hey gang, Ronan here. As you can see in this game, we've got Teufelhund 0331 playing the Tier 10 Russian cruiser Petropavlovsk. Now the Petro is, well, it's a pretty tanky ship. I don't think too many people would argue with that statement. It's a tough customer. And I expect that this is probably a very good game by our friend Teufel. But we're going to find out. Matchmaking? Well, decent, I guess. There is a CV on either team and one submarine on either team. Anytime I see a Kearsarge on the enemy team, I'm generally glad. It has been my experience, at least thus far with the ship, and I realize this is anecdotal and your mileage may vary, but most of the players that I see with the Kearsarge haven't got very many games in them, and they're more interested in checking out the planes than they are in playing the battleship, which means oftentimes they get caught at weird angles and end up getting themselves sunk while they're trying to use the aircraft. But we'll see. Looks like our hero is going to try and help out at the Alpha Cap. He's got a Vampire 2, which is a pretty rough customer in his own right, as far as destroyers go. Radar fires, catches the Harbin, the Marca. Poor Harbin. This AP is liable to really hurt here. This is probably going to do it for the Harbin. Oh, 3 ricochet. What? Maybe we can blind fire him. Wow, this DD, he's got a death wish. Teufel staying nose in, very smart. Petro's very tanky when it's just sitting nose in like this. Now there may be torpedoes coming. We'll just have to see. Nice HE volley. Look at that dispersion. Harbin is almost out of the game. Somebody's going to catch him. 1226 HP. He's not long for this world. Down he goes. Kremlin finishes him off. And our hero is helping the Vampire to cap. Now, what can I tell you about the Petro? If you haven't unlocked the ship, or you haven't played the ship, I'll just kind of give you the basics. The guns are 220s. You got 3 turrets, 3 barrels per turret, so you got 9 guns. You can see you got 2 turrets up front, 1 on the aft section of the ship. Here come the Kearsarge aircraft, kind of as expected. Oh, come on, you got to take out that DD. That dispersion is just beautiful. So close. 1 more volley. Yeah, that DD's gone. That's going to do it right there. Just gets over the top of the island. Nice shot. And there's Kearsarge, like I was talking about. Not sitting exactly broadside, but pretty darn close. So our hero goes back to AP, and he's going to aim probably a little bit high and just drop him right through the decks. Yep, 6,300 HP. Nice. So these 220s, obviously, they can hit pretty hard. Got a 14-second base reload. Firing range, roughly 18.5 kilometers. 18.45 is the base range. Max dispersion 190 meters. HE shells do 3,050 max damage with a 14% fire chance, and the AP shells do a max damage of 6,350. And Teufel's able to just continue to drop shells in there. The Kearsarge is almost at 30 degrees. Might be a good time to switch back to HE. There's another 58-31 in damage. Somebody is raining HE down on the Kearsarge. And you can see there's big chunks of damage. And Moskva out there, he's liable to become the target here in a second. Yep. Now that's something that, hey, round of applause. Seriously, a round of applause, because somebody's going to finish that Moskva. And Teufel noted by keeping an eye on the minimap. Hey, you got a ship almost sunk. Now, I think he expected somebody was going to get him with the next volley, but they didn't, so he switched his guns that direction and put shells out there. Because it doesn't matter if a ship has 60,000 HP or 1 HP, it's still capable of firing the guns, right? So the sooner you're able to finish off a crippled ship, the better. Kearsarge now is going to... now he's going to put shit, but you look at, 1,300 damage, big deal. So we talked a little bit about, or I did, about the guns and kind of what they can do. I'll give you the pros of this ship and what they're calling cons. Big HP pool, almost 56,000 that you can see there. It's got an icebreaker bow, which means that unless somebody hits just the right spot on the nose, it's able to bounce even some pretty big shells. So when you stay nose in with this ship, even against a lot of battleships, you're going to be very tanky, very tough to take out. You can see the hull sits really low in the water. That's one of the pros. And so it doesn't have a lot of freeboard to shoot at. All the main turrets rotate 360 degrees. So if you're turning your ship, you don't have to wait for your turret to spin 270 degrees to get back on target. They just track wherever you aim them. Great AP penetration. The only cruiser that's better is the Stalingrad. Slightly improved ricochet angles and really short AP fuses. A unique, this is what they call it, unique dispersion curve improves accuracy under 14 kilometers. Now that was a feature, quote unquote, of the Russian battleship line. Although I've seen Kremlin have 4 or 5 shell groupings at max range, 20 plus kilometers. But this ship will be incredibly accurate at these kind of ranges. Just keep an eye on the dispersion. Now watch, it'll make a liar out of me. But generally speaking, the dispersion is just, and that's what it does. It's got great shell velocity. Let me pull that up here for you. It's very fast. So these shells are lasers, basically. Yeah, 950 meters per second. It's got decent AA. It's got defensive AA. So you can, what really does well against aircraft in today's World of Warships? But for what it is, does pretty well. It also has, of course, 12-kilometer radar and a decent surface detection 12.4 base, which is what our hero is running right now. You can see that on the minimap. Now, the good guys have this game, I think, pretty securely in hand. They've got the Alpha Cap, the Bravo Cap. They still have 8 ships. The bad guys are down to 6. And the bad guys are kind of forced to push. They're way behind on points, over 400 points at this point. And without at least one more cap, they don't have much chance. Now they're going to finish that buffalo probably with this volley. There it is. Sherman taking him out. But Aegir and Thunderer kind of forced to run broadside to Teufelhund, the Petropavlovsk, and a Kremlin right behind him, and a Monarch behind that. There's also a Salem on this side. They're all running straight for the Kaga, and maybe they get him, but it's costing them. They're bleeding HP, and this Aegir, he's just running. Well, he's at 80 degrees, and what does that mean? Well, it means the Petro's AP shells are potentially going to be devastatingly effective here. He turned out, which helped him a little bit, but he's got an island on his starboard side, so he's not going to be able to turn that way indefinitely. And there's a nice big 6,000 damage on the Aegir. And you can see they're talking about their CV not having launched any aircraft and just sat there and died. It's super frustrating, super aggravating. I will say, you just never know what the deal is. Maybe somebody needed help. Maybe there was a baby that had tripped and fallen. Maybe there was a dog throwing up. You just never know what was going on. It is a game. It's very frustrating when you're doing all you can to win a game. And our hero just continues to pummel the Jaeger. The Jaeger now is, well, he's gone. And this Sherman, he's kind of in big trouble. Vampire swung wide, so Sherman doesn't have much of a choice here other than to fall back. Now, Teufel doesn't want to show broadside to the Thunderer or the Alaska. CV drops a little too far behind. And that's the Sherman Hydro. And there might be some torpedoes coming this way. The Sherman torpedo angles are terrible, and they only get 2 per side. But still, they can do some damage, and he may in fact try to, no. Well, we'll see. He'd have to come pretty hard to port. Teufel's going to be able to dodge these torpedoes. Nicely done. And while I have been, just talking about this this Sherman a little bit, well, the bad guys have made a little bit of a comeback, right? I mean, they're down to 5 ships, but so are the good guys. Didn't help that the CV was kind of a waste. Tough decision there. Do you switch to AP, try and get a hurt on the enemy CV, or do you finish off the Sherman? And I think he made the right choice for what it's worth. I think, you stick with the DD, you finish that threat that is out on the outside, and then you can just turn your nose basically to what remains of the entire remaining red team. And he's got the Vampire helping him now. Oof, Vampire goes down to the Sherman. And I imagine you have, but if you haven't encountered a Sherman, those SAP shells just shred destroyers. I have kind of speculated that the Sherman may become the next Smolensk. And by that I mean kind of overpowered and may end up not being available unless you get a lucky loot box drop. At least in my opinion, it is that good a destroyer. Those SAP shells are they're nasty. And what's the reload on those? Correct me if I'm wrong, it's got like 1.4 seconds. You don't have a lot of them, but you're doing a lot of damage. You can see Teufel has the AP loaded. He's swinging the guns around. Five overpens. Well, no, I guess that's 5 pens, not overpens, and decent damage. Not what I'm sure what he hoped. And there's a Citadel. I'm sure he was hoping to just get a load of Citadel shots there, but at that range, just wasn't very lucky. And he might have to switch to the Thunderer here, and the Thunderer is running broadside. And as long as Teufel sits kind of nose in, I think he'll probably be okay. Now, he can't really afford to stop here. Because if he does, the CV is going to be able to chew him apart with torpedo planes. 9,000 on the Thunderer. So he'll just keep moving forward, keep his nose to the Thunderer, which will limit the damage. You can see the secondaries working on the Pobeda. And these AP shells, this Thunderer is in trouble. There's the Citadel shot, almost 15,000 damage. And despite the fact that they are now down to 3 ships while the bad guys have 4, this game, well, now not anymore. This game, I think, is this is a win for the good guys. 967 points. And Teufelhund is running broadside to the Alaska, which is a little bit risky. Alaska shells they hit very hard. But I think just on time alone, the good guys are going to win this thing. Teufel, great game, brother. Thanks for sending this. I really appreciate it. Those of you watching, thank you very much for joining me. And we'll just sit and see what kind of total that Teufel is able to rack up here and whether or not he's able to get this kill. Nice HE damage. Might be time to switch to the forward part of the ship. The nose is, the rear of the ship's pretty well saturated. But either way, the Pobeda is going to be sunk. Thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you next time.